What if I told you horror movies are secretly history documentaries wearing cooler outfits? Welcome to Night of the Living Dead, the movie that tried to be scary and ended up being accidentally profound. Warning, this episode contains major spoilers for Night of the Living Dead in 1968. If you haven't seen it by now, now's your chance. It's public domain, so go watch it for free and come back. Welcome to Politics of Fear, the channel where we do the unthinkable. We treat horror movies like the cultural artifacts they actually are. Because every horror movie, whether it means to or not, is shaped by the political environment that birthed it. Directors absorb their era, writers leak their anxieties, and audiences sit there thinking, wow, zombies, instead of, oh, that's society falling apart. Horror isn't just entertainment, it's the emotional diary of a country. A weird, bloody diary, but still. And some films, like Night of the Living Dead, accidentally summarize an entire era better than history textbooks ever could. Released in 1968, George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead is a low-budget, black and white horror film about people trapped in a farmhouse during a zombie outbreak. On paper, it's simple, but in reality, it arrived during one of the most politically chaotic years in American history, making it impossible not to read his commentary. To understand why this film hit so hard, look at America in 1968. The Vietnam War was on television every night. The Civil Rights Movement was reaching a breaking point. Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated. Trust in government, police, and institutions was collapsing. Racial tension was everywhere, in homes, schools, politics, even on television. In other words, the country was having a national nervous breakdown. Of course, a horror movie would feel extra terrifying. Reality was already doing half the work. 1968 wasn't just politically chaotic. It was a year where people genuinely wondered whether society was breaking down. Romero didn't invent fear, he just filmed the national mood. Romero cast Dwayne Jones, a black actor, as the lead. He insisted it wasn't political. Jones just gave the best audition. The problem? America disagreed. Casting a calm, rational black protagonist in 1968 was basically the cinematic equivalent of throwing a lit match into a fireworks factory. Because in a year defined by racial violence, here comes a zombie movie where the calmest, smartest, most capable character is a black man who is surrounded by panicking white people. Intentional or not, that alone was groundbreaking. And then the ending happened. After surviving the night, Ben, the film's hero, is shot by a group of armed white vigilantes who mistake him for a zombie. Or maybe they didn't. That's the uncomfortable part. This was released the same year police brutality and racial violence were national headlines. Audiences saw this ending and realized the film wasn't about zombies at all. It was about America. Ben and Mr. Cooper represent two Americas. Ben is calm, logical, and practical. Cooper is fearful, stubborn, and catastrophically wrong. Their power struggle mirrors the political tension of the era. Leadership based on competence versus leadership based on ego. And guess what? Ego loses everyone in the farmhouse. By 1968, the Vietnam War wasn't something people read about days later. It was showing up nightly in American living rooms. Raw footage, conflicting reports, officials insisting things were under control, while everything on screen suggested otherwise. Romero's news segments copied that exact experience. Calm anchors, horrifying information, experts talking over each other, facts changing mid-sentence. The terror isn't just the zombies, it's the broadcast. The sense that the people in charge don't really know what's happening, but they're narrating it anyway. Sound familiar? Audiences in 1968 didn't need the metaphor explained. They saw a black man survive the apocalypse, only to be killed by the people restoring order. Subtle? No. Accurate? Unfortunately, yes. Romero's zombies weren't mystical or exotic. They were slow, relentless, and mindless, a perfect metaphor for social collapse, mass panic, and fear spreading faster than facts. The modern zombie was born from political anxiety, because of course it was. Night of the Living Dead endures because it captures a truth we hate admitting. The real danger isn't the monsters outside, it's the people inside the house who can't work together. The film predicted distrust in our government, fear of police violence, misinformation, racialized violence, paranoia, and our inability to handle a crisis without turning on each other. 1968 was already a real-life horror movie. Romero just brought a camera. So the next time you watch Night of the Living Dead, remember you're not just watching a zombie movie, you're watching a country's anxiety projected onto a screen. And the next time someone says they don't like zombie movies, feel free to gently remind them they're not just horror films. They're historical documents with better lighting. Thanks for watching Politics of Fear, where horror movies aren't just scary, they're history screaming back at us. If you like this breakdown, stick around for more political autopsies of your favorite horror films. Violence, misinformation, racialized. Feel free to gently remind them they're just blah, blah, blah.